Carter, for that wonderful information. Legislative update. Charlie, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can introduce the other guests. You're muted.
You would think after 5,000 Zoom meetings, I'd know how to use it by now. But thank you, everybody, for taking a few minutes and joining in this morning. This is our third ambassador call, and so far they have been very successful in not only us being able to share information, but the fire service, the folks out in the street doing the job every day are able to share ideas, thoughts, concerns back with us, whether it's on the call or afterwards. So please help us to continue this and bring more people into it and share your thoughts back. But one of the core functions of the Firefighters Association is to provide advocacy for the state's fire service as a whole when it comes to legislative issues. And whether it is the association that is pushing ideas and concepts via legislation at the State House, supporting other groups that are doing that, or your departments that are seeking law changes at the state, or that our continued support of state fire and LLR and the things they do for the fire service, we're certainly take seriously our commitment to advocate for the state's fire service on legislative issues. And we take the relationship we have with the next three individuals that are going to speak pretty seriously, because their commitment to the fire service is just as great. And I'm going to kind of let their team introduce itself, but this is the Stewart and Honduras group that are legislative agents for the association and represent the fire service daily down at the State House and with our legislature and the governor's office. And they do just an absolutely incredible job. We're lucky to have them with us. There are a lot of other groups that would love to have them and take them away from us. So we're grateful that they choose to stay with us, because if you ever get the opportunity to go to the State House and watch them work, it's just pretty incredible the reputation that they carry when they're down there. But I want to introduce Chief Robert Stewart and allow him to kind of kick off their update for today. Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Of course, we have here today with us today Cindy Honduras and Annie Wooten. Did you all just lose me?
No, you're still going.
Okay, I lost the picture here. Okay, and we're going to give you a brief update on several pieces of legislation today. The first one I'm going to start on deals with workers' compensation, and that's House Bill 3939 and Senate Bill 94, which are almost identical, not quite. There's one or two little differences that I'll mention to you. These bills arise out of a case called the Bentley case in Spartanburg County several years back, where a law enforcement officer shot a subject and had post-traumatic stress issues after that. The Supreme Court, in a very narrowly decided, like it was decided by one vote difference, that it had to be extraordinary, unusual conditions, as is described in the workers' comp law, something very unusual, extraordinary outside of the normal course of action before it would be covered by workers' comp. So they said it would not be unusual necessarily for a law enforcement officer to have to shoot someone in the line of duty. So then there was concern arising that, well, what does that do with other first responders, such as the fire service, where some incident occurs that through the tragic events that firefighters have to go through on a regular basis, what would happen in a case like that? So these bills were introduced. The one in the House has a little more in it about anxiety disorder, conduct disorder, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, sleep weight, those things. The Senate version does not maybe go into that much detail, but still has a lot of instances in it, as do both bills. They looked at laws in other states on workers' comp in these type situations, which are being reviewed, and some have already taken effect. And what they did is they took about 7 or 8 or so specific instances that would be covered, and they really do pretty much cover the waterfront. Like when you're in a situation where someone's hurt seriously, or you're a witness to certain types of events, certain fatalities in regard to line of duties that you have to deal with and things of that nature. They did limit it, however, though, to law enforcement officers and firefighters, including volunteers, but neither bill has EMTs in it. And that's an issue as well. We testified in both the House and the Senate on these bills. The House passed the bill out and sent it to the Senate. The Senate then took up their own bill, S-94, and they did pass it out of the full committee. However, Senator Turner has put his name on the bill, which means he has some concerns with it. And so there it remains. So the House has passed this bill in the form I just mentioned, and in the Senate, the committee has passed it, but it's on the floor and it's not moving anywhere right now. So at this point, I'd turn it over to Cindy for another bill.
I think what I was going to do is briefly go through the governor's executive budget. And Chief Jones, I hope you're okay with me reporting out on your areas. The first area that the governor funded was $1 million in recurring dollars for the state fire marshal at LLR to maintain the team, USAR team, and its cache of equipment. That's in recurring dollars. LLR's also asking for a $5 million non-recurring request. If they don't get the recurring dollars, then the $5 million would kick in. Well, the governor funded both of them, which is really good for the USAR program. The $5 million would simply be $1 million over a 5-year period, but LLR would have to come back and ask for more money for the USAR equipment, as well as maintaining the team at a later date if they don't get the recurring. Those two are tied together. Also, in the USAR area, the governor has placed $5 million for regional teams in his budget, and that was a request by LLR, and most of that is for equipment. They were initially funded in these areas after 9/11, and they really haven't had any updates. Those particular regions are Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Beaufort County, and Columbia and Greenville. Those are the folks that have the equipment and the personnel to operate on a small to medium scale structural collapse emergency and a wide area search mission and water-based searches as well. But the governor did fund that $5 million for the regional teams. He also funded a $12 million USAR Task Force 1 equipment request at LLR, which is designated, will be for contractors and vendors, new and existing, that will or have been selected through a competitive process to provide equipment to LLR, and it's new equipment. And funding the request at State Fire will replace the entire cache of equipment and transport vehicles, and most of which are nearing the end or useful lifespan. So that $12 million is critical to the USAR, the Task Force 1 mission. Also, the governor funded $2.7 million for a project, and the project would renovate part of the current USAR building to add additional bunk bed and classroom space to house another recruit school, increasing the fire academy's capacity to meet demand on both firefighter and EMT recruiting class. What this is going to do is going to take current building apparatus bays and renovate that space for these bunk rooms and classrooms in the kitchen. The governor did fund that. He also funded $850,000 non-recurring dollars for EMT tuition assistance at LLR. This way the EMTs can come in training and not have to pay anything for their training. $850,000 is non-recurring dollars, and it'll cover this program over the next 2 years. This program at the Academy has a fine reputation, highest pass rate on the National Registry for EMT exams. So this is a great boost for LLR and the fire service to provide this tuition-free program out at LLR. The governor also put in his bill 2 return to work provisos. One is one you're probably familiar with, and that's the return to work proviso that recommends that the earnings limitation does not apply to retired PORS and SCRS members who return to work because of COVID response. So that proviso has been in the budget. This will be the 3rd year. But he added a new return to work proviso, which is a little exciting, where he's going to recommend blowing that $10,000 cap for all members of law enforcement first responders group, so that anyone that retires prior to December 31st, 2020 and comes back, they won't be limited by that $10,000 cap. So that's a kind of a new proviso, which is an exciting proviso. There are a few standalone bills that are sitting in committees right now. One in particular that we've been reporting on is House Bill 3134. This is outside of the provisos that the governor is putting in his budget or recommending in his budget. And that particular proviso removes the $10,000 earnings limitation cap for both SCRS and PORS members that return to work. But that particular bill says you have to stay out of work for a 12-month continuous period. That's sitting in Ways and Means. They had a subcommittee hearing on it last year. It passed out. But as you have probably followed in the news, Ways and Means and Senate Finance are inundated with budgets, ARPA funding, and every other redistricting. The House and Senate used a great deal of time dealing with that. So we probably won't see much movement on House Ways and Means bills until the budget and ARPA funds committees and subcommittees have finished their work. Also, the governor, and this is kind of, he's done it for 5 years straight. He's asked for $177 million from budget funding to reduce the income tax rate from 7% to 6%. It's a phase in over 5 years, but this is his 5th year of asking for it. So he's committed to try and lowering taxes for us. He also asked for $10.7 million to eliminate all state income taxes on retired pay for career law enforcement officers, firefighters, and peace officers. Here again, he's asked for that several years in a row. Hopefully that will see some real play in the Ways and Means Committee. What I want to mention to you is the budget process is much like a baseball game. There are many, many innings. It can change from inning to inning. Right now, it's in House Ways and Means. They're doing their budget work in subcommittees. They're projecting to have their recommendations. LLR's already had their budget hearing in front of their subcommittee. So the subcommittees are to report out their recommendations February 22nd through the 24th. That's the proposed date for full committee budget deliberations. That usually goes for a week. So we have some time that bill is in subcommittee and changes can be made. Proviso deadlines are February 3rd, and they always get a new BEA estimate before they finish their work, so that they are spending all of the money or all of the revenue that they are projecting to come in. So that's why that budget, full committee budget deliberation is the week after the BEA estimate is due. That is it for my report out on the governor's budget. If you have any questions, please speak up and I'll try and answer them for you.
Chief Cindy, is that complete y'all's report as far as legislative?
Annie's got 2 more bills she'd like to hit on.
Cindy,
Good morning.
Cindy,
Oh, go ahead.
the return to work, is that all
Yes.
those bills have the 1 year separation prior to return?
No, sir. No, sir. The one bill right now in Ways and Means has the 12-month. The 2 provisos that are in the governor's budget, the one that has removing the cap for us has a December 31st, 2020 retire before. So we could tap anybody that retired prior to December 31st, 2020, and they wouldn't be subjected to the penalties if they go over the $10,000 salary. That cap would be blown for anybody that retired before December 31st, 2020. That's what the proviso says. The bill says you can retire at any time. You just have to stay out for a 12-month consecutive period. And then, of course, the COVID proviso says if you're coming back for a COVID position or COVID-related hire, you can come on back and not be penalized with the $10,000 cap. And the 2 provisos are, the COVID one has been in the bill for 2 years. I suspect it will be continued this year because of what we're dealing with right now in terms of the pandemic. As for the other one, it's in Ways and Means, and we'll see if they won't agree with it.
President, this is Jonathan. Can I hop in for a second about the budget?
Yes, sir.
Y'all excuse me. I'm at home recovering from COVID, so I sound awful. But just wanted to highlight a couple of things. That $1 million recurring is very important. Y'all have heard me say repeatedly. Every year we don't get recurring. It's been nice that we've gotten some one-time money for some small-scale equipment replacement, that kind of stuff. But every year we don't get recurring funds. We're kicking the can down the road. The USAR HART programs at State Fire have never had any dedicated funding. We currently fund them with money from the Fire Marshal's office and money from the Fire Academy. So getting this recurring funds, whether it's the $1 million recurring, which is what we're hoping for, or the one-time $5 million that will spread out over 5 years, is really important, because it also basically lets us give back the money we're currently spending from the Fire Marshal's office and the Fire Academy back to the Fire Marshal's office and the Fire Academy. We're kind of at a point where it's hard to grow programs without those additional funds, and some of those funds obviously are going to USAR and HART at this point. So that it really kind of has a doubling effect. We'll have a sustained dedicated operational funds for those programs, but we'll also be getting that money back for the Fire Marshal's office, and we won't be getting money back. We'll retain the funds we're currently funding USAR within the Fire Marshal's office and the Fire Academy. But one thing that we're asking for, and it's kind of tied to that $2.7 million for the renovation of the USAR building, is we've asked for funds also outside of the budget, the governor's request in the regular LLR budget, to build a new USAR headquarters, which would let us repurpose the existing USAR building as a second fire station. One of our challenges, there's a demand for more recruit schools. However, we don't have the facilities, bunk space and that kind of stuff to do a second recruit school at the same time. So this would allow us to renovate the existing USAR building and repurpose it for a second academy recruit school program, as well as the potential to have an EMT recruit school program where you could be on campus for 5 or 6 weeks and graduate with EMT. And then again, the $5 million for the regional teams, that's a big deal. Their equipment was all purchased about the same time as the Task Force One equipment from those Department of Homeland Security dollars. And they haven't received any significant funding for equipment replacement over the years. So that's a big deal for the regional teams as well, to give them the opportunity for equipment replacement, replenishment. And they're kind of in the same boat. We're at a point that the small amounts of one-time funds that we've gotten over the years is nice, and we're able to replace equipment, but not at a pace that the equipment is timing out. So this would replace the entire Task Force One cash, and we would retain anything that's still serviceable as a training cash or spare cash. So we're not creating wear and tear on new equipment. We're able to use the existing equipment for training. So it's a real opportunity. And I think Chief and Cindy, y'all would attest that if there was ever a year to ask for big dollars in the state budget, this is the year. So I know what we're asking for is a big ask, but I think we're trying to take advantage of a very unique opportunity in time that may not present itself again in the future for some time.
Thanks, Jonathan. Andy, I'm gonna go ahead and get you going because I'm trying to stay on schedule. If you go ahead with the other two bills, anybody, we got questions at the end, we can stay on at the end and ask some of those questions that I know particularly that people have got.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Annie Wooten. Real quickly, I know I say this anytime I get the chance to report out to you all, but I say it because it's true. It's really a pleasure and a privilege to represent the firefighters downtown and to serve you all in this small way when you serve the entire state and our communities in such a great way. So thank you for all you do. I'm just going to quickly hit 2 bills of interest. And if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them afterwards. The first is House Bill 3466, and it deals with reimbursement of training costs when a firefighter leaves one department and is hired by a subsequent fire department within a certain period of time. It is a House bill, and it passed the House and was sent over to the Senate, where it was referred to the Senate LCI committee. In subcommittee, there was an amendment that was offered, and it does a few things. Firstly, it defines an employer. It expands the program to ENTs. It also identifies specific training that's reimbursable. And then it stipulates the time frame at which the training costs can be reimbursed. And that's within the first 2 years. So for example, if a firefighter is hired at one department, is satisfactorily completes the training, and then is subsequently hired by another fire department within that first year, then all of the training costs are to be reimbursed. If that firefighter completes the training and then is hired subsequently after that first year, but before that second year, then half the costs are to be reimbursed. So that bill was reported favorably out of subcommittee with that amendment and onto the full committee. It was further amended in the full committee, and that amendment deals with capping the amount for volunteer fire departments that are required to reimburse, and that amount is $1,000. House Bill 3466, it was reported out favorably. It was sent to the Senate floor where it was up for second reading. However, Senator Sin, she has put her name on the bill, and so it has not moved and it has not been up for second. I will say, though, that the Senate has spent a majority of their time this week debating the medical marijuana legislation, and they will continue to do that into next week. The second piece of legislation that I want to talk to you guys about, it's Senate Bill 958, and it is a Senate resolution that was put forward by Senator Alexander, who now presides over the Senate and has always been such a huge, great champion for the fire service. And what it is, it recognizes the month of January as Firefighter Cancer Awareness Month. So it's a very important and significant piece of legislation. I'm sorry that was quick and I probably stumbled a little bit, but that's all I have for you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Annie. I'm gonna hold questions to the end just so we can get everybody in. And then if anybody's got questions, they can hang on at the end and we'll get those answered. Moving on, Legislative Day. Charlie, you gonna talk about that? You want me to talk about it? Or
real quick, Legislative Day, please make sure you're marking down the date as March the 9th. Originally was March the 16th, but our friends at the legislature have asked or voluntold us to move it back to the 9th just because they've designated the week of the 16th to be their budget week and want to reduce any distractions that are there that week. So March the 9th, Legislative Day, will start at 10 a.m. They're right on the grounds of the State House with a program that morning. Lunch with your Senate and House members and a little bit of awards, recognitions and things when they're there. But again, can't stress how important it is to attend, be part of the program and the process and conversation and relationship building with your legislatures. And understand and hope that a lot of that is going on at home, but certainly want there to be someone representing your department to be with your legislatures as they come downstairs, because you can certainly see the disappointment in their face when they them or their staff come down to eat and there's nobody there to talk with, converse, or sit with. So please, we'll post the sign-up sheet to get with your folks, to escort them and be there for the day. But March the 9th, 9 a.m. on the grounds at the State House, and look forward to seeing everybody there.
thank you, Charlie. Training and Education, Terry Sheriff, Training and Education Chair.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everybody. I'll keep this brief. As everybody should be aware of, new dates for the Improvement Conference, March 24th through the 27th. We're looking forward to that. Registration continues to be open, so if you still got firefighters that want to take classes, please have them sign up for that. Also, Fire Rescue Conference, June 8th through the 11th, 2022, back to the beach. So make sure you keep that in mind. And also too, there's a lot of stuff going on at Myrtle Beach. So get your hotels booked now. With that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Brooke. We have a quick video to show you, and then I'll talk about it.
Nothing impacts your fire department more than the company officers that are within your department. That's why we've put together a Company Officer Academy. We're gonna develop leaders within your department. You need this. This is what you need within your department to affect culture. What we're gonna put together isn't built around one specific department, not career, volunteer, not big or small. It's built for individuals. Sign up today.
Okay, who's ready to go? Sign up for it. Company Officer Academy. It's the first one we're doing, starting with May 16th through the 20th, 2022. The cost is only $125 for a week-long training of networking and getting to know outside classroom, hands-on, and also inside classrooms, what you want your guys to know as the company officers to help them out. Please make sure visit the website with not only this, but everything else that's going on. The deadline for the Fire Officer Academy is January 31st, 2022. So it's quickly approaching, but we look forward to kicking this off and also getting training and information out to our company officers, which in turn is going to be tomorrow's fire chiefs. Mr. President, that is all I have to report on, unless someone has any questions.
Thank you, Terry. I will reiterate what Terry said. Hotel rooms are getting scarce. If you hadn't made your reservation for a hotel room, you probably need to do that. I think last thing we heard, I think yesterday or maybe the day before, the Sheridan had 3 rooms and they're probably gone by now. But Make sure you go ahead and make your reservation so you can attend fire rescue this summer at the beach for June 8th through the 11th. Memorial service, excuse me. Brooke, you gonna report on that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chief. Our memorial service is next Saturday, February 5th at 2 p.m. Riverland Hills Baptist Church in Irmo. We're honoring 133 members, which is significantly more than we have in the past. We're asking that if you are attending to please be at the church by 1. We want to get a prompt 2 p.m. start just because we do have so many to honor. And on a personal note, as someone who has been in those pews and had a family member honored, it means a lot to see support from throughout the state. So if you can make it next Saturday, 2 p.m., Riverland Hills Baptist Church, we would love to have you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Brooke. Well, I hope to see everybody there and look forward to honoring those members. Forms to use and voting members, Mr. Charlie King.
Back to me again. One quick thing on memorial service. You mentioned 35 of our fellow firefighters that are being memorialized. We've heard from a good many of their families, but we haven't heard from as many fire departments that are going to be there with them. So please, it means a ton to those families, not only that their loved ones being recognized, but that their department is there in attendance with them and walking up front across the stage there with them to support them. So please, if your department hadn't signed up as well, please get with Zarina, Marcia, and their crowd to make sure your department, they've got you kind of jotted down that you're attending as well. For the volunteer agencies that's online today, please don't forget about VSafe grants. These are for the departments with 51% or more volunteer membership, $30,000 equipment grants. It's administered by State Fire. By our list, there are 174 fire departments that are eligible for those that haven't either received them in the last 3 years and can apply this year. So please get online, get your grants submitted. State Fire has done an incredible job in helping to educate and essentially doing as much of the prep work to make that grant as painless as possible. But they close on February the 11th. So that's coming up in just a couple of weeks. And if you haven't received any information or feel like you need some information, just go into open the chat, just put your name, email, and just put VSafe in it. I'll know what that is, and I'll get a hold of you or drop an email or a phone call and help you to get that done as well. January 31st, Monday, is an important date for fire departments in relation to the association, in that dues payments are due back to us before there's any kind of penalty, late penalty imposed. Your 206, 207 forms with your 1% are completed. And one new thing this year that was a bylaws change that came out of conference that was voted in by the membership was our change from delegates to voting members. So that folks, representatives of your department, have the opportunity throughout the year to be involved in the decision-making process. And it requires the chief to select those voting members by January 31st. And there's still a large number that hasn't done that. We're more than willing to help with the process to make sure it gets done. If you do need help, again, just put your name in the chat or call our office. And Jana, any one of us will be more than happy to help get those forms completed as well. One of the things that went out last week as well, we heard from departments with that were having trouble with manpower, with essentially getting folks back on shift from just close exposure to COVID. Folks that were asymptomatic, not sick, or had COVID were just waiting on test results as long as 5 days to get on shift. And we heard from a lot of folks through conversation with State Fire, reaching out to DHEC. There was an email that went out last week where DHEC has made available rapid testing kits. And if you haven't signed up for that email, please go back and look from it. Or again, put your name and department and just COVID in the chat. We'll get it to you. But super simple. DHEC's making them available to you for free. Are these little Bluetooth cubes that connect to an app, Q Health, on your phone. You hook it up, you stick in a small cartridge into it, a swab that goes about 1 inch in the nose, and 20 minutes, you've got results for your personnel that either puts them out of work, that they're with COVID, or it gets them back in the game for you and back on shift pretty quick within 20 minutes. So again, if you haven't took advantage of that program, we were at DHEC's warehouse on Thursday of last week. They're shipping these things out as fast as they can, but we encourage, if you haven't done so, to send us a note in the chat. We'll get you the information Susan sent out so you can take advantage of that. Incredible resource. We're hearing from a lot of departments that are how simple and easy it is, and they're able to get folks back on shift pretty quickly and back to work. But one of the things as we start to wrap up, the intent of this was to be a little bit of back and forth Q&A. Is we want to hear from you, whether drop it in the chat or just unmute and tell us, we're curious how departments are doing vaccinations and testing locally. Do you have a vaccine mandate that your department is requiring you to be vaccinated to be at work? Do you have voluntary mandates, or is your department requiring testing when you're symptomatic, testing on close exposure, or is it regular testing? We know that some are every 7 days. They have to do a test on every Monday or on a time limit. We'd love to hear from you. What are your departments doing? Again, if you're willing to share, do so in the chat or just unmute and share with us what your departments are doing. We'd love to know that to help be able to share some conversations with others that ask us.
Charlie, you brought up about Be Safe. I'm surprised Jonathan didn't jump in, but wanted to make sure everybody knew. Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong, but Tuesday night, February 1st at 7 p.m., Jonathan's doing like a little question answer kind of on Be Safe. So if you've got information, need information, he'll be online to do that. And Jonathan, that information went out by your staff, so most departments should have got an email, correct?
That's correct. It went out to all the fire chiefs and the fire portal administrators. And it's a live Q&A session on Zoom. I did one this past Tuesday night and only one fire department participated. I'll be doing the final one this coming Tuesday night, February the 1st at 7 p.m. on Zoom. And same thing, if you need that link or didn't get that email, if you'll just put something in the chat or let me know and I'll make sure you get it.
Thank you, Jonathan. Also, what Charlie was talking about, these testing kits, we use them here at Gaffney. I saw Marion's using them at Spartanburg. Very easy to use. They've been a lifesaver for us as getting people back to work. And so if you're interested in them, I'd love to help you out, try to get everybody in the state those so they can help out on that side. I know Charlie was asking for that information. If you've got information on what you're doing, please put that in the comments. If you've got any questions on legislative issues, fire rescue training, the fire improvement conference, we'll be more than happy to take any questions at this time. Chief, Cindy, Annie, I think y'all did a good job. Nobody's got any questions. So on that, and I know we've got a lot of questions about what's going to happen, but you can't predict that yet. So, but as far as the information, I think you did a good job on that. If nobody's got any questions, we try to keep you 30 minutes. Today we're at 45, but just wanted to give everybody a chance to kind of hear what's going on, what your association's doing and what we're doing, statewide at the State House and what's going on in the future. So really appreciate everybody getting on. Love to see that number grow. Today at 58. I think last time we were close to 100. Love to see you get, other people in your department, other departments on the call so we can kind of keep everybody up to par and up to speed on what's going on statewide. Thank y'all. If nobody else, we'll end the meeting.
Thank you, Chief.